G'day, guys. Kyle here again. Hey, and thanks for joining in one more time. Just going to talk about something a little bit different here. And since we're here in New Zealand, Tim Southee in the last test against Pakistan for New Zealand brought up his 300th test wicket, now third in line in the test all-time test wicket taker for New Zealand. And also Trent Boult, who's been such a consistent bowler for New Zealand, who's not far away from bringing up 300 himself. I just felt like since we're here in New Zealand, I should talk about why those two guys in particular are so successful as bowling as a partnership and what they do to get rewards. And they do some things that when opposition teams come to New Zealand do not replicate. And I've seen it a little bit in this first test and the West Indies test just recently as well, how some of these overseas bowlers who are good bowlers in their own right come to New Zealand and they see the bouncy wickets, a good carry here in New Zealand on the batting surface, and the ball carries through to the keeper. And like most bowlers, you get confidence from that. And they tend to bang the ball in short. But to be successful here in New Zealand, you actually need to bowl a lot fuller. Get the batsman trying to drive you down the ground. When you do that, then the outside edge of the bat can come into play. So you have 3 slips and a couple of gullies, or four slips and a gully, and use the ball to swing. And that's why Tim Southee and Trent Boult are so successful. There's one thing saying, I'll hold the ball to swing it away. But what's really important is your wrist position and bringing your fingers down behind the ball. If you can bring your fingers down behind the ball, then the seam will stay straight upright as it travels down the wicket. Then that will give you the best chance to swing the ball. But you need to bowl nice and full. So Tim Southee, let's say this is the rough side. This is the shiny side. He'll bowl the ball, come over, great wrist position, and flick it out the top of his fingers, and the seam will come straight upright and swing away. Now, Tim Southee can't swing the ball into a right-hander or swing away from the left-hander. But what he does is he holds the ball slightly cross-seam, not a full cross-seam, just slightly cross-seam, and you can go across the left-hand batsman and he can make it leg cut away from the left-hander. And so suddenly, or into the right-hander, suddenly he's got 2 deliveries. He still does bowl the odd short ball to push the batsman back, but then he follows up with fuller balls, swinging the ball. That brings in the outside edge and the bowled in the LBW. So 3 dismissals. If you bowl too short, the only dismissal you can really get is a caught. So at least Southee's given himself the best opportunity by being able to take the dismissal 3 times. LBW, bowled, or caught by bowling nice and full and allowing the ball to swing with perfect seam presentation. Trent Boult, I'll flick over to my left hand, same thing. Say this is the rough side, this is the shiny side. He's going to swing the ball away from the left-hand batsman or back into the right-hand batsman. So he gets a lot of LBWs. But again, if you watch him this test match starting tomorrow, his seam presentation is amazing. And he allows the ball to swing in the air. And they both want the batsman to try and drive the ball down the ground. If they so happen to bowl a half volley, they're okay to be driven down the ground. That's not a bad result. Yes, it goes for 4, but that's what you're trying the batsman to do, try and hit down the ground. So when Boult swings the ball back into the right-hander, he can then also, like Tim Southee, go slightly across the seam and go away from the right-hand batsman, or to the left-hand batsman, you can just get it to nip back in, nice and full. Now, the key words here are nice and full. So they've got those 2 types of deliveries and the short ball to push the batsman back and then try and bring him forward. But what they do really well, now this is the secret here, and Tim Southee is amazing at this. He uses the crease. And what I mean by using the crease, he'll bowl in close to the umpire, and then he'll come wider of the crease and angle it in to off stump of the right-hand batsman. Now, doing that, swinging the ball away, gives the feel and the perception for the batter that the ball is a lot closer to the stumps than it actually is. Because coming in from that wide angle of the crease He bowls in towards the batsman, but swings away. The batsman doesn't really need to play at half those deliveries, but he also keeps the batsman guessing by having a slightly cross-seamed as well from wide of the crease. So it's always going to, once it bounces, it will angle back in to the right-hand batsman. So that's just a couple of wrist positions, the perfect wrist position to swing, the slight cross-seamer, but using the variations on the crease when they deliver the ball. That's the key to their success, and that gives them many more variations of what they can do. But by always bowling fuller and committing the batsman to bowl full. So I just thought I'll share that with you, because Trent Boult, the left-hand arm bowler, Tim Southee, the right-arm bowler, are just some of the world's best with the swinging ball, bowling nice and full. And what I've seen so often with visiting teams to New Zealand, the fast bowlers get carried away with the bouncier wickets. They like to bang it in short and see it going through to the keeper, but usually the home batsmen really like it short, and they're conditioned to the shorter deliveries here in New Zealand. So for any young aspiring cricketers, there's a couple of tips there on swing bowling. Really important to flick it out with the tip of your finger and try and bowl nice and full and have the seam bolt upright.